thoughts are on influencers?
For nightclubs, I can't stand it. The whole thing of like, you're moving things to the meta world. You're moving it to social media. You're not present. It's coming the right way where, listen, if 4 guys are coming in, like, I've never traveled to a nightclub with a bunch of guys. I believe in holding the door open for people. I believe in walking on the right side. I believe in saying thank you to people. I'm like, dude, why are you coming with a guy? Why are you coming with a guy? Like, we're here to support you. I'm like, listen, you came to support me, you would come with a bunch of girls, or 2, you come to spend money. The guest list is still really important. 2 things that should be taught in schools is 1, ethics and respect.
What do you think of New York these days?
It's a little bit in a sad state right now. I hate de Blasio, but I will openly say that. I'm upset with New York, and it's not politics. It's simple common sense. New York was built on small business. You can't afford, between all the red tape, surviving right now, small business. You walk down any street in New York and see 30 to 50% vacancies.
Do you feel safe in New York?
In the last 4 months, I've gotten attacked.
Welcome back to another episode of the Play Hard Look Dope podcast with your host, Ebony.
And John.
We are so excited for this episode because we have Richie Romero here with us.
The king of nightlife.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. The first thing that I wanted to ask you when I was researching and reading up about you was, how did it start for you getting into nightlife? At what age, and what interests you about that?
So originally, I always have to tell the backstory of the backstory. So I first started, I was like 11, 12 years old. I just started throwing house parties, parties in the park. We started doing, with my friends, raves, which pretty much they're outlawed, but if you put a corporate sponsor on, you get permits. It's a festival. And I started getting really bored with it, and I wanted to be a little more creative. This is when I started getting a little crazy with it. So one of my other parties, my sister was 4 years older than me, and I would have her older friends, the guys, give me kegs of beer.
Oh, smart.
And they would do do security, and I used to break into McDonald's playgrounds and bring a boom box and literally throw parties at McDonald's playgrounds. Then we started to get a little more creative and just,
Where was this?
Yeah, where?
This was in Queens.
In Queens,
Brooklyn.
okay. So you grew up, where did you grow up?
Lower East Side, then I went to Queens.
Okay.
Okay.
So then I started throwing I started throwing parties in, McDonald's playgrounds, parks, in the handball courts. Everything.
Mickey Disco.
Yeah, pretty much. Just,
that's unbelievable.
And then from there, I just started going out with my sister. Like I said, she was 3.5, 4 years old.
That's a cool older sister.
She was cool, She was cool. She, I have to thank her for bringing me in. It was like, a pleasure and a curse.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I started really young, and by the time I was 16, I was working for Steve Adelman, Steve Lewis, right under. They were main directors for Pedication, and I was working at Tonal, Limelight, USA, and Palladium.
Those are famous.
Yeah, how did you
clubs.
get into?
Famous.
That's hard to get those positions.
My sister first, brought me out with her. I was helping her promote. I started meeting people. I was a little dancing boy too. I liked dancing and everything then. And
could you do the old spin on the floor? And
I could do everything.
You could do that, really?
Backflips, everything.
No.
Really,
are you serious? Backflips?
Yeah. I could do like.
May have to move some furniture.
After both ACL reconstructions and some other things, no more dancing for me. But yeah, it was a passion. It was, nightlife was a lot different than it is now, because now, back then, if you want to hear music, you had to go to the club. There was no Spotify. There was nothing online.
Streaming, yeah.
Music got broken right in there in the nightclub. That's where you learned it. If you wanted to learn fashion, you couldn't go online. Hey, what should I wear for Coachella? And Google it. You had to go, like stores like yours, man. You had to go there. If I ran into John out and we're at Palladium, I'm like, dude, where did you get that shirt and those kicks, man? And he'd be like, yo, I got it at this place. Play Hard, Look Dope. It's on, on 4th Street, man, in Eastville. And you went. That's how you got clothed. So you had to really know music, fashion, art, everything, but it was going out. Like, it was bigger than the even the DJs today. Everyone goes for this talent. The stage was bigger than the talent back then. That's what it was about. And there wasn't these other markets. Like, you only had really New York. New York was the mecca of music and nightlife. You know?
Yeah, there was no Vegas back then.
No, yeah, no Vegas.
There was no Vegas.
I mean,
really?
there was Vegas, but
it
there
wasn't.
weren't clubs.
Vegas. I was consulted with Vegas and doing one-offs in Vegas in like 99, 98, 99. And even then, it still wasn't up to its strength. Miami really wasn't. It was getting there. Wasn't really fully there. You had Art Basel, a couple different things. But, you know, you didn't have like Nashville. You'd have all these other things. So New York was everything.
What year was it? Palladium, Tunnel, all that?
I started in 92.
92, okay.
Yeah, so I was at, I think, Tunnel, Limelight, USA. USA only lasted a year. I was there 92 to like 94. But Palladium, Limelight, Tunnel was like 92. I was there to like 96.
Limelight was crazy.
It was still my favorite club. You know? Limelight was, you know, it's the forbiddenness of it made it, you know, it's even when you look at things you're not supposed to do intrigues you more to have it.
Right.
That it's in the church,
right?
And it was so forbidden.
Yes,
it literally made you have a good time. It's even like how you look at like weed. You know, like you know, there's weed stores everywhere now.
Right.
It's just not the same. Like people are like, hey, you want to do it? It's like there's not that like mischievous thing about it. And you know, going into a church, man, and every room had its own like vibe, from the shampoo room to the chapel. Like it was like it's pretty much like a school cafeteria where you could go in the main room and everyone did their thing. But then you had these side little rooms, and you had like, you know, the club kids. The club kids was Michael Alec. I don't know if you know Michael Alec and all them. People could see the movies. You know, you had Party Monster. Macaulay Culkin plays them, and Seth Rogen. You know,
Seth Rogen used to party.
Yeah.
No, it was in the movie.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait.
Yeah, so they all played it. So there was Limelight, the documentary that Jen Gation actually made, Peter's daughter, who's a filmmaker. And, you know, it was just the club kids were theatric. Like, they had a party on Wednesday called Disco 2000. But Michael Alec was, like, the master of ceremonies. Right? Just imagine, like, American Horror Story as a nightclub night. So every Wednesday, dude, like Blood Twister, the flyers were extreme. Everyone was colorful. You know, you had Angel, who, you know, Michael Alec ended up killing and cutting up and thrown in the Hudson River. But he would come out with the wings.
He did something wrong.
Yeah, you had Richie Rich, who's a big designer now. You had all these, you know, these personalities, Freeze. You know, they were all the club kids.
Yeah.
They were colorful. It just made the experience, you know, every walk of life. Like, New York was a true melting pot. And it was just, that's what you did. It's like, other people had to know it. Like, if you were in Ohio or even, you know, Nashville back then, or Austin, these growing cities and secondary markets now, people, the only way they started hearing about these things is through, like, MTV and different things. And, you know,
MTV.
The Page Sixes and everything. People getting, you know, black fingers back then.
Yeah, the newspapers.
That's true.
So out of all those, what was your favorite club?
All four were amazing. Limelight was personally my favorite just because, like I said, it's just that whole forbidden vibe of being partying in a church. Like, we're all probably going to go to hell afterwards, but it was just
got to go somewhere.
It was epic. You know, each room had a different vibe. You know, I loved it, but I also, the other three were amazing too. Like, USA only lasts like a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
And didn't they have a slide?
Yeah,
in
they
there?
had the slide. It made you feel, because it was in Times Square. There was like peep rooms we had and everything. It was
like
cool.
the old peep shows.
Yeah. Did you go to that club?
Yeah.
It was great.
So,
we had, you know, Palladium, which was just, you know, like you look at something even today, like Nebula gives me Palladium vibes, because, you know, not the same technology then, but you had the moving ceiling and everything with the lights and everything. You had the Michael Todd room. And, you know, Tunnel was epic too. Like, Tunnel, to be honest with you, if I didn't really like first start at Limelight, Tunnel would probably be right there with it, because they change every room. I don't know if you know Eric Good, who owns like the Bowery Hotel and everything. He helped Peter like come up with the brands and designs. Like, you know, you had Kenny Sharp, did the Kenny Sharp room there. And it was all room of like furry. Just imagine, like, you know, you're in Get Him to the Greek and they're like, hey, Jeffrey, like everything was furry and cool.
I like Get Him to the Greek.
And, you know, you had the bathroom was even a room. You had a DJ booth and we were all partying in the bathroom. It was just epic. It was just times people will never understand how amazing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's better than now.
It's better now because everyone, we live on our phones. we don't really truly experience like then. No one had cell phones.
Yeah, no one had a phone. If you had a phone, you had a car phone that was this big.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, and you had to be, but people really were. They were present. People are not present now. You know, you could use that in the spiritual sense or regular sense, but people just aren't as present as they were then. And like I said, they wanted to experience things. You couldn't go home afterwards and like, you know, look at pictures, you know.
You just had to like remember it. And
you know,
or you were too drunk to remember.
Yeah.
And then you know you had a great time.
Like you can't go now, and like now you could like look at your stories on Instagram. You could, you know, you could even not be there and pretend you were there. Like you know, follow someone. You could stalk people. Like then it wasn't. It's not. It's not the same vibes, man. You know. I
like the Palladium. I like the seats, the theater seats up
everything.
there. Getting blowjobs and shit back up there.
And it was
the good old days.
And it was one thing that's taken out of today that was a big thing. I joke around, like I say, it's mingle. People actually mingled. You know, like people wanted to know each other. There wasn't table service back then. So you weren't on these isolated islands.
So everyone roamed.
Everyone was on the dance floor. You actually had to know how to dance. You had to know how to talk. You had to know how to mingle.
Damn.
It was a skill set. You had to be skilled to go out. Like if you wanted to get laid, like John said, you wanted to get a blowjob in the seats or in the bath or wherever you wanted to go, is you had to know how to dance or you had to have the gift of gab. You had to know how to
couldn't just swipe right.
No, right. While you're sitting at a table full of women, you're still swiping right. You didn't have that then.
Right.
No. You didn't even have tables.
Now, did they have VIP sections and stuff?
We had VIP rooms, you know, like Michael Todd room was thing, you know, like the shampoo room, we would VIP it. You know, you had VIP rooms. People would select if you had to be stamped. But even the guest list process was still a guest list process. Like, if you came, we used to have, I'm not kidding you, like War and Peace guest list. And we used to have, you know, everyone labeled. So it would be like, you know, your full name and you put plus on it. So we'd have, like, the Bible of these names and you actually got crossed off the list. Like, later on, we all created tallies, but you actually had to be on a guest list. That's obsolete as now, you know, unless you're going to an event, high profile event, like there's not really a guest list anymore. You throw names around and you name drop, you pretty much get your way in, you know?
I feel like it was kind of better then.
It was 100% better.
Than now.
I don't know if I'm like jaded, you know, I've been doing this 31 years, I've been in nightlife, you know, and creating it and everything. And it was different. Like I said, like, especially New York was king. People came here. They wanted to experience what New York was about. It was where everyone learned. Like New York was nightclubs, fashion, art. New York was the Mecca. And it's a shame. Like you look at it, it's like you look at like Miami now. You look at even Vegas.
Yeah, Miami looks good.
All of it, you know, it's everyone took a piece of that pie. You know, the Big Apple is, you know, it's down to a little core now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only reason I would say, like, you know, kids don't know what they were missing back then.
Absolutely. Yep. What do you think are some of your most iconic times and spaces in nightlife? That for you, you're like, this is going down in my book of history right now.
Those years, you know, I wasn't even 21 yet. And, you know, being with, in the Gation world, he was like the real nightclub king. And it's still, us back then, it was respected, and we all respected Peter. It's not like this new generation, people are more entitled, and just being around him, Steve Lewis, Steve Edelman, these guys were geniuses, and just watching them have this, you know, eye for talent and creating it was amazing.
Did you ever do anything with Ian Schrager?
I've never worked with Ian Schrager.
Wasn't ever
that?
Studio 54.
Studio 54.
Yeah, he was Studio 54. You know, listen, I wasn't around during that time, but you know, Steve Rebell, I felt like was more like the guy who made Studio 54 because after the whole, you know, tax thing and Steve passed away, Ian never really, you know, I don't really know what nightclubs he really did. You know,
right?
It's a hotel, there. He's made great hotels, you know, with Additions, Public, but
Delano.
Yeah, like, you know. But,
I know that one. Yeah,
You
Delano.
know, but, you know, nothing in terms of like, you know, high celebrity things, but nightlife, you know, I don't really look at him as a pioneer for it. You know.
How'd you get into One Oak?
One Oak. So I've been friends with Richie God, Jesus, we were kids, man. 95. I was working for another genius who I consider an icon too, Howard Stein. So he owned O-Bar, was open for a long time in a place called System, which is now where the Hyatt Hotel is in Union Square.
Mm-hmm.
And
where was O-Bar?
O-Bar was where Lava is currently now.
The East Side one.
Yeah, on 50.
Yes,
50,
I knew it was on the
Street
East Side. Yeah.
between,
I had been there a few times.
So, I worked with Howard for a long time, and the guy was, he was the real Upper East Side socialite. He had them all, and he was a mastermind too, and I learned a lot from him as well.
And then, what did you think of One Oak? How long was that around?
Yeah, so me and Richie, I was in-house at System Nightclub, which is where the Hyatt is now on 13th Street, a couple blocks from where Webster Hall was. And Richie was there as well. And a lady, great woman, another icon. I don't know if you ever heard her name, Amy Sacco. She was actually the bar manager at System, and she was at O-Bar as well. And she ended up opening up a venue called Bungalow 8, which is another famous venue. And she's an icon as well.
Yeah.
And, Richie opened up One Oak in 2007 with Scott Soriano, Jeffrey John, Ronnie Maladra. I came in towards the end of 2009. And, this, probably it goes down as one of probably the next best club in our generation.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it.
It's not like it,
Who were some of the people that would show up there?
Every celebrity would show up. We would have just unannounced performances, people just jumping on. I remember one time just 50 Cent and Usher out of nowhere just performed. I'm not kidding you, together. We didn't know they would come. They were there and performed literally like over an hour show.
What?
Literally, it was just, you had everyone. You had Justin Bieber would multiple times would come on and just go there and just go on the mic. It's, that's the one thing I always got to read. Like, no one's better in terms of being like a networker. Richie Akiva is probably one of the best, promoters in the world in terms of bringing celebrities and, bringing that kind of crowd and everything.
I was there one night, and LeBron had a whole table. Like, all the NBA players who go there all the time. They play the Garden, they play the Knicks. They beat the Knicks, unfortunately, and then they'd all go.
And they'd go.
That happened a lot.
Yeah, they'd go to One Oak.
Damn, I only went there one time, literally.
And you look at Scott too. Scott, Richie and Scott were the main two guys there, and brought out Scott later on. But Scott has Zero Bond now. He just opened up Sariano's and the Mercer. Everyone from there is doing incredible things. So,
Did you ever, being around all of these celebrities and socialites, did that ever affect you in terms of like ego, or did you maintain?
I was always humble, and I have probably 100 after school specials where no one believes, because I was never a big drinker. Like I said, I drank at a very early age, and in the last like 20 plus years, I probably drank like 5-6 times. The last like 15, probably 2 times. But I could tell you a lot of after school specials, because I never did a drug in my life. I never did cocaine. I never did anything, and I could tell you some funny long stories of
You can give us a funny short story.
You don't do drugs. You're not cool. Like, I was in a room in Limelight with Keith Richards and Billy Idol, and
oh shit,
everyone was like, I was the only one not doing drugs. And
they're just looking at you like you're crazy.
Like, people do the things. Like, they just, as long as you're not watching people. Like, I went about my business. I just knew how to I always liked being around people, and like I said, I appreciated being in the present moment. And I didn't feel like I really needed to alter myself or do anything. I always liked more being the visionary and creator of putting people together and letting them have a good time. I'm kind of like a servant to hospitality, and I still am. Even at One Oak, I always like being more in the background. I always I ran a lot of the front of the house. Hired all the pros. I did a lot of the strategy and a lot of putting the things together. But I was never the guy that really wanted to be the master of ceremonies and, be at the tables and all that. When I was younger and it was the dance floor, like I said, I danced. I like to dance. I like to meet people. I like to converse. But being at that like sit down table, you know,
that's like more promoter kind of style.
It changed, and even that as promoters changed. Like when we were promoters, like I was proud to be a promoter. Promoter was like a cool thing, you know. Promoters, like we would bring 400 to 500 people ourselves.
Wow.
You know, now it's like a promoter's like it's like a curse word. You know, these people got to, you know, they bring girls out to these dinners and bring them out. They bring like 6 to 8 girls. That's, you know, to me that was like a cab of people coming.
Yeah.
You know, we all had a strategy. Like, I would take my phone. I used to even have. My mom used to make my calls. She had an alias, Sabrina. She would call my guest list. Like,
oh, that's incredible.
My main thing going up was like, I wanted to get every girl's number. So it was different. Like today, you could DM girls. You could get that keyboard coverage. You know.
Oh yeah, like, you protected by the keyboard.
Yeah, like for me, I would have to go into every store in Soho, and I would meet every girl that worked there, every guy that worked there. I'd give my business card, give them flyers, label it. They became my promoters. Everyone, I went to every modeling agency. I would literally get their info. I would fax them even invites and put them on list. And my focus was mainly, you know, women at the time. I would have the 3,000-4,000 woman list. Wow. And I would literally have my mom call Sabrina. I would make my office in FIT in dorm rooms and have 3-4 girls calling my list then and there.
What?
And then giving out flyers in the dorms. Like, you know.
Guerrilla marketing.
Totally guerrilla.
That's what it was about.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
No, why was your strategy going after the women?
Because guys always followed the women. Women were, I'd say women were more of the talkers. And, you know, you didn't have the social media, you didn't have influencers. Right. So, you know, a girl would tell her friend, it would just be the telephone effect. I used to have a real serious strategy. I would personally call myself, where I would call people from different industries. I called them bubbles. So I would call someone, let's say, in fashion. If they were designing something, I would call them. They would invite 10 people. I would call over someone from the agencies, let's say if it was Elite or if it was Ford or whatever it was Next. And I would meet a booker there. I would call them. They would bring 10 people for me, you know?
That's
bring 10 girls.
Really smart.
I would go like someone in finance, people in different fields. You know, back then, we used to joke around. We used to call the Euros, you know, the Blazer Brigade. Because, you know, wearing blazers, everything back then was not cool. You know, it wasn't like arts. It was like, you know, blazers, you were Euro, you know? And, you know, later on, it kind of changed when you started getting into the later the 90s was when the Euro took over the dollar. You know, Europeans were buying their ways with the blazers. Bottle service became a thing, you know, with the sparklers and everything. So the European style of nightlife started invading New York.
I was going to ask when that happened.
Yeah, it started late in the 90s. You know, I'll give it to like Michael Alt and all of Dave Sonner, you know, the Chaos guys. And, you know, they really introduced, in my opinion, bottle service a lot more than everyone else. And it brought those Europeans, you know, with the Blazers would come in, you know. And before that, it was still, you know, you had Lotus. I don't know if you heard of Lotus.
Yeah, Lotus.
Yeah, Lotus.
You know, that was...
That's
you know,
like kind of started things again in New York. That I feel like that started the meatpacking.
That it 100% did. You had Gaslight there. There was more of a bar and everything.
Right.
Matt the Mag, great guy, good friend. But
Jeffries, remember Jeffries?
Yeah. So you know, after Limelight, after you had Lotus that opened up, and that was like the cool model celebrity. Even Donald Trump invested in it.
Oh no way! Wasn't Packer involved in that?
You know, you had. Mark Baker.
Mark Baker.
So you had Mark Baker, who at that time too was, you know, he had every celebrity model. He was at that time he was the greatest promoter, and and he was an owner too. So you had Mark Baker, not Packer.
Sorry,
Mark Baker. Mark Baker was a dear friend. He lives in Bali now.
Oh, no
I
way.
talk to him on a regular basis. Yeah. So Mark Baker, Jeffrey Ja, Dave Rabin, who was operating Will Regal. And they were, you know, the Four Horsemen, in my opinion. They were kicking ass, you know. Dave Rabin and Will Regal came from the Rex. They were doing that beforehand. They opened Lotus, and Lotus was
cool.
It was the hottest spot. It made the meatpacking.
And Lotus was big in Sex and the City.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Sex and the City had a big influence on
it. Did. You got to look at it, especially like, you know, with women. Sex and the City had a huge difference because you got to look at Manhattan in the 90s. You know, a lot of people, you know, especially women were, you know, you would say graduate FIT or NYU, wherever you went to school, you would have 4 or 5 girls move into a big apartment They would go into a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment, you know, and, you know, you couldn't afford like the rents today.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's how people did. And, you know, you didn't know about these brands unless, again, you went out and somebody had a Chanel bag or you saw it in magazines, but it wasn't in your face like that. So Sex in the City, when that came on, you know, it really made girls know about, like, you know, Manolo.
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
And, you know, Chanel and everything.
Yes.
You know, back then, it's, you know, you didn't know these names. Like Manolo, he was like, oh, is that, you know, one of the bus boys or something? Is that, you know,
absolutely.
You know, Chanel, that's it. Like, you didn't know, was that the door girl?
It was like a
teaching
teaching show. It taught you.
Yeah, it really did. It taught you, like, you know, about brands and, you know, living in the city. And it comes today, it's like, you know, you got to be making a lot of money to live in New York City. You know, it's a different world. You know, it's, you know, chased around a lot of the artists and a lot of the people in New York.
You mentioned influencers a lot. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on influencers in nightlife or in general in New York City.
I get it for certain things. Like, listen, everyone's trying to survive in New York. Like I said, rents are expensive. Cost of living is expensive. Inflation now with food. So I get you want to use influencers to, like, drive business, but I just, for nightclubs, I can't stand it.
I was gonna say, how do you feel when they show up?
Especially if you're doing, like, if you're doing a bigger commercial thing, I get it. But if you're doing more of an exclusive thing, like the whole thing of, like, you're moving things to the meta world. You're moving it to social media, and you're not present. And again, it's like, I don't care. Like, again, I'll bring in the spiritual world. Like, everyone, I don't know if you read the book of Now, and it's like, now, to be present in now. It's like, you're in the nightclub and everything. Be there. It's like people feel like they can live through a nightclub through social media now, and it ruins. That's the only reason I don't like the influencer part.
A lot of the times I see online, the influencer will go to the club, post all the stories, and then the 300 or 400 people that are watching it don't need to go to the club.
No.
They're like, I feel like I was there.
No,
I saw like
Interesting.
60 stories from you. I feel like I was there. I don't have to do this now. And
it's like movies. Even.
Yeah.
You watch a trailer now.
They're like 5 minutes long.
And you know the whole movie. You can literally watch it and be like, yo, why do I have to see this?
That's literally how I think.
That's why most people watch series now. You watch Netflix, you watch Cinema X and all that.
Because
HBO.
there's like a 5-second preview.
Yeah, because you have it, but you have a whole season.
Absolutely.
Instead of a movie that you could see with a trailer. I just feel like the influencer part of nightclubs, it just ruined it. And, you know, it got rid of the behind the velvet rope. Because the whole mysterious aspect was, you didn't know what was going on in that, behind that velvet.
Yeah, you used to only see them going in and coming out.
Yeah, that's what you see now. A lot of membership clubs now is the big thing, because it's hard enough to get in the velvet rope. Before, you had to get picked and chose.
Right.
Then you started table service where you could buy your way in. Because before, you would try to bribe a bouncer if you wanted to know the right person.
Yeah.
But now it's, you know, that's why membership clubs became hot, because people want to be exclusive. They didn't want, you know, social media all over and you felt like you were there. You had to make it harder to get in. You had to be a member. Before, it was a guest list. And that's, you know.
That's interesting.
So when you were doing front of the house at One Oak, how did you decide who was getting in?
So, you know, I always left it up to the door, you know, the door people we picked, but I always like putting together, like, I look at everything like this. I have a 3-step process with everything. I look at myself, I was always big into movies. I love movies. And I kind of take the movie strategy where first you got to know what the story is. What's your story? Or if you're going to open up a store, if you open up a restaurant, what's your identity? What's your story? It's all one line. What is it? The second is, well, who are your actors? It could be, even if in a restaurant, who's your chef, who's your partner, who's your maitre d'. In a nightclub, it could be who are your partners, who's the doorman, who's the bottle host, who the waitress is, who's the staff. Everything is who's your actors, who's your supporting actor. It's the same way. And the third line is who are you trying to target and how you're going to target it. You do those 3 steps, magic happens. And that's how movies are made. I think everything. You do that strategy, things work. And that's what it is. It's got to come into the whole story. So once you come up with the brand and what your story is, you pick who you want to be part of that story.
So they're like the actors, actresses?
Yeah. Like, I don't even look at the door person as a door person. I look at him as the director of first impressions. Because
I
if
like
we all went to a door right now, we went to the front of the door, that's your first impression. It could either be even a bouncer engaging with you and telling you the wrong thing, and it ruins your whole mindset. It's like, you know what? I'm in a bad mood already. I don't even want to go in here. If you go in there, if you have a table minimum, you're already jaded. So I just think the door, even if you reject someone, you know, for whatever reason, you know, you have to do it the right way. So that's directors of first impressions, you know? That's why, you know, the guest list was invented, was, you handpicked. There's not discrimination because you actually pre-chose it because that's who you wanted to party around, you know? But, you know, that's why I always joked around, call it director of first impression.
I love that.
I love that. There's all these videos now on TikTok of women getting rejected from nightclubs. Are there different ways that you should reject men than women?
I think with everyone, you should do it in a courteous way. You know, I think it's more not rejecting, even that word. I think it's more educating. You know, it's a way to come in.
I love that. That was fucking good.
It's coming the right way. Where, you know, listen, if 4 guys are coming in, like, I've never traveled to a nightclub with a bunch of guys. You know, I won't even go, like, even I think I did once with a bachelor party that I still regret to this day. And I apologize to my friend that was an owner for even doing it. Even though everyone spent a lot of money, it just don't do things like that. There's unspoken rules.
There totally is.
It's like that in just regular society. It's like you walk on the right side, you pass on the left. You know, when driving a car, you pass left, you hold the door open for people. Unspoken rules and educating in nightlife is the same thing. It's like, you know, come correct. Come with more ladies than gentlemen, you know, because you don't want to be that person where you go in and you keep doing the favor. And I remember even when I opened up Nebula, and I had friends that would come up to me and they'd be with one guy and be like, hey, Richie, you know, I'm like, dude, why are you coming with a guy? You know, why are you coming with a guy? Like, we're here to support you. I'm like, but listen, you came to support me, you would come with a bunch of girls, or 2, you come to spend money. You know what I mean? And really support me. Like, it's only one guy. Go, everyone says that. I'm gonna do you a favor because I know what's gonna happen. Instead of you calling me an asshole, you call me an asshole now because I'm not letting you in. You know why I'm not letting you in? Because let you in, and all the other people do it. A couple hours from now, you're gonna come out and tell me like, oh, there's all these guys in there because I did all these favors.
Yeah.
And you know, it's educating. It's just, you know, you want a good mix. Like, you know, you got to have a good environment with everyone coming in there.
What's the ideal percentage, men and women?
You know, it's not. You got to look at the room. You know, you got to let it do. But you also, that's why the guest list is still really important, because, you know, a lot of these people, you know, I didn't even reject them. They didn't tell me when they were coming, because if they told me they were coming, I would have told them how to properly dress and how to properly come. They didn't come, so they weren't on the guest list. So it was a guest list only. And even now, you know, we just opened another nightclub, and I had fun with it. It's not even a nightclub to me. It's a brand.
Which one is this?
It's Hearsay. The reason I called it Hearsay is because
you came up with the name. You came up with the name?
Yeah, I came up with it because it's a brand, because I got so sick of hearing all the hearsay that goes on. You know, every time, how many chats you in and people just talking rumors and this, that. It's all hearsay. And
I love it.
And I wanted to make it like it's a brand. So the concept of Hearsay is, you know, I want people to no address. It's invite only, so you won't have that still the same discrimination, everything. If you went there, there's no way you went there without being invited. If you did go there, you're not on the list, because
you wouldn't find it.
You wouldn't find it. You wouldn't even find it.
You know, we like everyone playing Sherlock Holmes, but you still got played by the rules. You know what I mean? You could be the greatest detective, but still had to be personally invited to get in. And we kept it, you know, lives by the name. So people, they still try to find out where it is. You know, I've even other club owners and people in the business.
Get out.
Oh, was it this? Did it used to be the old 10 June, or was it this venue or that venue? And they play the guessing game, and I just get the text back and go, it's all hearsay.
Oh, I love it.
And
but eventually people who did go there are going to tell other people who haven't been there, and then
that's what they do. And then, but they don't know when we open. Like, we don't even have a set schedule, because I wanted to live. It's like Daniel Day-Lewis playing his method acting. Like, we're living to the whole thing of what hearsay is. Hearsay is about, you don't know what. It's all hearsay.
Yeah.
You'd be like, hey, Peter Gatien owns it. You know, Leonardo DiCaprio owns it. They don't know whatever. Everything's all hearsay. Every write-up, it doesn't have the address, everything. Just, it's in the meatpacking. It's in the vicinity. You know, you could find your iPhone on Find Your iPhone, quicker than you will find exactly where hearsay is.
Shit.
That's what the whole thing.
Cool.
We want it all to be about hearsay.
I love
it's
it.
Organized confusion.
Organized
That's what I like
chaos,
to put it.
yeah.
Yeah, organized
And
chaos.
it brings back this excitement of exclusivity
Yes.
in New York City, because I feel like that
It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I feel like
It doesn't exist.
you go to, nightclubs or even
Everything's membership clubs.
Membership,
Or
yeah.
you'll call speakeasies or whatever the terminology.
Everything's a speakeasy, even when it's right on the street.
Right.
Like
This is a speakeasy.
Right. I'm like,
Well,
I'm
underground.
like, yeah, but like you walk on the street and it's like, this is I'm like, this is not a speakeasy. I can see it. It's
So in hearsay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
In hearsay, can you have a phone?
You can have a phone. I didn't want to go to extreme. There was talk about us between us, our partners, everything. Where hey, take away phones. But it gives it. I think it gives it even more the mystique of it, where it gets teased because the place is just sexy, man. I don't know. Like I want people to record because all we're really seeing is just. I'll say the theme what it is. It's like you're going through an old school like European record store, and you enter this sexy red light district kind of vibe where it's got reds and blacks, and it makes you want to fuck. I'm sorry to use profanity. Like makes
Red
you want to have
light.
a good time and fuck, and and you
I
want
wanna
like,
go.
so when people are recording things, it's just all you're really seeing is the red. There's nothing that is like hidden. Because all you're doing is seeing like the lights and the ambiance of it.
That's magical.
So it just teases it more. It's more like it's like a mini trailer for us, but it doesn't really expose exactly, where it is,
And everything looks
And we don't
good.
have a building number on it either. So
I was going to say, is there a
yeah, so
building?
even when they do it, like people take pictures of the front, but they really still won't really know where it is, which is cool.
How long has it been open?
Well, a couple of months now.
A couple of months. How long was the process?
We did it. If I even told people, wouldn't even believe me. We opened up in less than a month.
No.
From first thought to
A little longer for first thought, but actually building and putting it together, we did.
Wow. And liquor license and all that shit.
It was
Existing
intact.
place. Okay, so I get it.
It was
Yeah.
intact.
Yeah. yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. Wow.
Wow. And what else are you working on these days?
Main focus I like what I call you've been to a casino before, right?
Yeah.
To a resort. What I do, I call it the opposite. When you go to a picture, imagine yourself in a resort or a casino. You see the nightclub, you see the bar, you see the restaurant, the grab and go, the spa. You see all these different things because they want you to stay on property. They don't want you to leave the resort or the casino.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I like to call it the deconstructed casino, decentralized casino, where I want to control your night, your day and your night. So that's why I do like, pizza like Zazi's, sushi. I have bars like Hidden Lane and High Note. I even do the adult playground, Sapphire and everything. And
Yeah,
I want to control
Sapphire.
your day. So we could go at, 11 o'clock in the morning, get some pizza, go later on, do some omakase at Sushi by Boo, Sushi Sweet or Trust Bay or one of them. And then after that, we'd go one of the bars like Hidden Lane. Then after that, we could go to the nightclub. We could go to like Hearsay. We could go to Nebula. We want a big nightclub and everything. Then hey, after that, we could go to the adult playground. Sapphire.
See some titties.
Yeah, and
I mean, honestly.
Who doesn't like
that's
that?
the vibe, man. I want people to have that experience, and different experiences because I think now it's not about just mingling. It's not four walls. Like I said before, when you went to Limelight, you went to these places, the stage was bigger than the artist. Now everyone's going for talent. They're going for the big DJs. They're going for events. So everything's very experiential now. It's a ticket experience. And that's why, right now, my big passion is sushi, what we do with Sushi by Boo, Sushi Sweet, Omakase, and Trust Bay and everything, because it's a ticketed experience. It's a timed experience. And it's a chef experience. It's, you go in and each location's a different theme. It's 90s hip hop or, roaring 20s or disco. And it is that speakeasy vibe where you go in this hidden thing. And then you go into and you experience a 12 or 17 course experience. And those are the things I want. I want to keep doing, more, experience. And I'm for myself, I do more of like the visionary and the branding and putting that together. Like I said, it's like making movies. I actually don't like work doing behind, back of house accountings. I've never been like that CFO guy or a COO.
More creative.
Yeah, I like being, that chief hospitality office, chief branding office, chief chief strategy officer, you know, CMOs. Like that's more my thing of like creating the experience, you know, and the vision, and you know, getting, you know, smarter business guys around me that, you know, do the numbers.
I could hear the passion in them.
The passion is
No,
incredible.
The Sushi by Boo and all those popped up.
Everything.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean,
I'm passionate about it. Like,
I
don't look at it. You know, if I could do it all for free, I would do it all for free. It's
not,
the money doesn't drive me. I don't even look at it as work. Like I always say to people think I'm a little crazy with this. Even partners, like everyone has to share the same vision. If us three wanted to create and do something, we have the same vision what we want to do. And you know, we all have different currencies in life. Some people's currency is money. My currency is more relationships. And, you know, what I do is if I was like 12, 13, 14 years old and I knocked on John's door and I'm like, hey, John, you want to play? And John's like, what do you want to play? I'm like, do you want to play ring and run, stickball, handball, manhunt? You know, and when did it get from there to like, you know, a few years later, we call it work. So I don't call it work. To me, it's adult playing. And I want to, you know, I have to have like someone else's energy and have the same vision. And I want to create with them. So I call it adult playing. You know, like that's why I have different companies. I create with different people because we, you know, have different visions with different people. And I just want to create. Like it's not the money. It's not because, oh, I want to make all this money. I want to, you know, sell all these companies. No, I just want to create.
If I had to ask you what other city you would replicate and do this again.
So with, you know, the one luxury we have with you know, with Sushi by Boo, our company's called Simple Venue. Why it's called Simple Venue is that we take unutilized space in like, you know, hotels, standalone properties, or even other restaurants, and we create these chef no venting experiences, these ticket experiences, like I said. And you know, luckily, thank the Lord, you know, we have we're in Chicago, you know, in Illinois, where you just open up Philly. We're in Florida all over. We're opening up in Puerto Rico. We're opening up in DC. We're opening up in Nashville. We're opening up in many different cities. And,
that's,
you know,
incredible.
I want to keep creating it. And, you know, it's a lot easier to do. As I'm getting older, nightlife, I'm trying to shepherd. I love elevating people. I don't believe in the old, you know, CEO system of, you know, that glass ceiling, big company. You know, everyone works 30 years in a company, and they, you know, it used to be before you could grow. You could go from the mailroom to vice president, president even. You can't do that anymore. And everyone bangs their head on the glass ceiling, and I don't like that. So I'm like, you know, in nightlife more now, I'm trying to, you know, shepherd a lot of the young potential guys, and you know, be kind of like Moses and show them the way and let them, you know, take the reins and, you know, open up spaces and do it. And I get to do what I really truly want to do, is just help create with them and help their passions and dreams. You know, if I had to put a label on it, I call it like a expediter of dreams. And, you know, that's where I want to kind of go into the, you know, the pastures with, and, you know, be more of an expediter of dreams for the nightlife side. You know,
that's amazing.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. So you're Moses. Can you walk on the Hudson?
Yeah,
you could do anything, bro.
You know, I used to joke around. I used to, you know, I think he's canceled still. I don't know. With Kanye, you know, Jesus Walks. I used to joke around when I used to walk into a lot of my club venues, and the DJ used to play Jesus Walks.
Get out.
It's like an internal joke. Like, you know, get it. It was, you know, because I always like being behind the scenes. I'm older now, so people really won't get this, you know, analogy. But I don't know if you ever saw Usual Suspects.
Yeah,
Brian Singer's movie, Kaiser Sosek. So I always liked being Kaiser Sosek, which, you know, no one really knew who he was, and I liked being behind the scenes. And most of my life, I was, you know, behind the scenes more. You know, COVID had to come out more to the forefront, but I like being behind the scenes. So, like, that's why I want to go back more, definitely in terms of more the nightlife, you know, educating and bringing up and a lot of this new talent. You know?
What do you think of cancel culture? You just mentioned Kanye. Does that spill over into nightlife?
It does, right? Like, you know, everyone wants to cancel everything for, like, you know, I can even get canceled now talking cancel culture, but, you know, I have a simple thing. It's like, you know, we lived in different eras, and, you know, I lived in an era, John lived in an era of more of you know, the old cliche, you know, sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will never hurt us.
Me too, yeah.
Now it's different. Now it's, you know, words hurt us a lot.
Words,
but sticks
everything.
and stones actually is justified in the right way.
That's right.
And it's a little crazy to me. And, you know, I believe I'm respectful to everyone, you know, and I believe in respect. You know, I'm more of a modicum respect kind of guy where someone could come up to me and call me an asshole. And I don't get upset, but they're like, hey, you asshole, this, that. Just, you know, they might have had a bad day. Their mother could have passed. Something could have happened. I don't know their day. But the modicum of respect of being in this society that we all share together, I believe in holding the door open for people. I believe in walking on the right side. I believe in saying thank you to people. Like, I believe 2 things in life, you know, 2 classes that should be taught in schools that are not. And I blame our education system on things. You know, most on everything. 2 things that should be taught in schools is 1, ethics and, you know, respect. Like, people should know, hey, how to hold a knife and fork, how to say thank you, how to literally, that you walk on 100%. The right side. In different cultures, they walk on the left side. You have to learn the matters and ethics, because you wouldn't have all these problems if you were taught that. Like, people bang into each other on the street and they want to fight because they're walking on the same side and they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
There's a flow to things. Everything has a flow. Even when you build stores and you build restaurants, you build nightclubs, everything has a flow. And the other thing that should be taught in schools is how to balance a checkbook.
Thank you. I say that all the fucking time.
You got to look at it that our what are we, $35 million of trillion dollars in debt. Sorry, I just pulled the Biden right now. $35 trillion in debt. Like, we don't even have our country doesn't have to balance a checkbook.
No, for real,
and
it's
we're
wild.
not teaching our youth in our classes, like, hey, don't borrow above your means. Like, these are 2 things that should be taught in schools, and we have these problems. But in terms of, like, you know, cancel culture, like, our country is still young, and we've actually, like, I'm older. Like I said, I'm 47 years old, and, you know, if you look back 30 years ago to now, you know, we're more mixed. They're like, I don't know when we became like the 4 like food groups of race.
Yeah.
That we still label, like, you know, black, white, Asian
and Hispanic.
And Hispanic.
Yeah.
It's
true,
like,
yeah.
when I was going into it, like, everyone had their own, like, your own culture, their own identity. Like, it wasn't, you know, well, white. No, you had Greek. You had, you know, Spanish.
Italian.
You had Italian. You had black. You had everyone was all different cultures. You were Jamaican. You had everything. And we had cultural pride, and everyone was a melting pot, especially being in New York. And now everyone's so mixed. Like, I have a daughter. My daughter's half black. You know, and you're talking about, you look 30 years ago to now, you guys.
Yeah.
Black and white. Like, everyone's mixed so much now. And I want us to mix even more and more. Like the Depeche Mode song, people are people.
Yeah.
Right.
Why should it be that we live so awfully? Like, it's insanity to me that we're actually progressing more and mixing more, that how is it becoming more and more of a race situation?
That's a great point.
That's a good point.
My wife is, you know, Colombian, Chinese. My daughter's black, Italian. My daughter, I won custody to her in the courts, and we had to go to the South, Greenville, South Carolina. And what I went through there, it's like being an Italian American. Like, I felt discrimination the first time really hard in my life, that they said I was a mobster. I felt like I was like the other side of my cousin Vinny. They actually gave my daughter temporarily to another family, which was totally illegal. I could have like sued the Supreme Court and everything. And, you know, it was class. Like, my family didn't really have any money. You know, even how I got into it, like, you know, my dad went through a lot. My dad was, you know, when I was going into my late teens, everything was dying of lung cancer then. And, you know, I was like thrown to the wolves. Like, I was, you know, supporting pretty much my family, throwing parties. And, you know, it's, you know, people don't know what everyone else lives through. Like, we kind of lost our individuality, and we became,
like, they group you in with just,
like, we into this group of these, you know, this, you know, black, white, you know, it's everything. It's like, you know, I don't know where our individual, you know, like, John, I don't even know your nationality.
Norwegian.
You're Norwegian. Yeah. Like, you know, like, why can't we have that? You have your Norwegian pride.
He
like,
says that sometimes. Totally. He says that.
Like, you want to be, you know,
he's like, what if I don't?
Norwegian American?
I want to be a Scandinavian American.
Yeah.
I've been saying that for years.
He's been saying that for
American.
years.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, everyone, you know, we kind of like lost that, and they grouped like we're in all these different things.
I actually remember being in, I think it was 6th grade, and I had a friend who was Greek. And that's the last person that I remember that I ever met that said, because I remember his last name was like Kosis or something. And I was like, where are you from? And he was like, well, I'm Greek. And I never heard of that before then. And I haven't heard of it since then. So now if I were to see him, I probably wouldn't remember what he looked like. But if I were to see him, I would say, oh, you're white. And when I said that in school, like years and years ago, he was like, no, he corrected me. He was like, no, I'm Greek.
Yeah.
And now if he were to do that, it would be,
we separated.
Yeah. And that you're not Greek. You're just white now, you know? And John says that a lot. He's like, well, I'm, you know, Norwegian. And I'm like, okay, yes. But
that's different from Italian.
It's different.
But
Yeah.
You look at the stereotypes.
Totally.
Yeah.
Find me one movie where Italian isn't a mobster or talks funny, or, you know.
100%. I never thought of that.
Find me a movie where
you're 100% right, where
they don't
not.
have it. Like Italians are known as, hey, we talk funny, we have our accents, and, you know, we're mobsters.
You know, that's interesting because on social media, on TikTok specifically, people use their discomforts as comedy. So I see a lot of videos of different, you know, racial backgrounds exploiting the stereotypes, but they're all like, if I see some about Italian people being loud, or on Sundays we make sauce, or your uncles in the mafia, and it's and I'm like, we haven't really evolved outside of that.
No,
there's gotta be Italians that are not loud, or not in the mafia, or not making pasta on Sunday, but every video is just like, this is...
Name me a movie, TV series. You have Sopranos, you have Goodfellas, we've evolved so much, but we still don't want to break away from the stereotypical storylines.
What do you think of New York these days? Since you've been around New York for many years, you've seen ups and downs.
A little bit into the sad state right now. I've seen all the changes. It has nothing to do with politics. You know, like I said, when I was in Limelight, there was a man, Giuliani, who was mayor, who took down my boss, got him deported, you know, litigation.
Oh, shit,
So I hated him during those years because he ruined nightlife, you know? Cleaned up a lot of the city, but he ruined nightlife. Like I said, Bloomberg, we were thriving in New York and everything. Right? You know, the last few years, you know, I hate de Blasio, but I will openly say that. I just, you know,
every New Yorker says that.
Yeah,
and then he got reelected, which I don't understand.
I hate him when he changed. Yeah, even on 14th Street, like, you know, I remember even driving around. We would go across 14th, 23rd, just because the lights were synchronized and there would be flow of traffic. It's like they're causing this congestion. But the state of New York, why I'm upset with New York, and it's not politics. It's simple common sense. New York was built on small business. And you can't afford, between all the red tape of surviving right now, with small business. And if anyone thinks I'm making this up a line, you could walk down any street in New York and see 30 to 50% vacancies in retail. Offices is even more dramatic. You know, small business can't survive in this climate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary between dealing with the building department. If you want to get open up a restaurant, nightclub, dealing with community boards with liquor licenses, dealing with that, you know, it's just impossible. Like, that's what you say. And you see people moving in droves and droves away, like people moving to other states.
Yeah.
And it's scary. Like, I say a lot, like, listen, I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I'm staying here to fight to try to save New York, in my opinion. Like, I love New York. And I'm even starting to feel like, you know, like why am I here? Because it's a battle. And they make it harder than it really needs to be. And I don't want to sell out, but it's, you know, they got to start making it easy. You know, help small business. You know, people leaving, like, there's not, like I always say, true New Yorkers are going to be extinct soon. You're not going to hear this accent. You hear this accent? This is old school New York. You're not going to hear this accent anymore. It's going to be extinct. You know, people are not raising in New York. People are temporarily living in New York. They're transplants live in New York, but nobody is, you know, raising in New York.
Do you feel safe in New York these days, walking the streets?
Listen, I've done mixed martial arts most of my life. And I don't feel. And I've had in the last 4 months, I've got attacked by 3 different. Two guys were homeless, and one was not all there. He was not well, and we have a city right now where these people need help. I'm not blaming them. I'm blaming our city. We're spending a lot. When I walk out of my apartment, I bought my apartment, and my real estate taxes are insane. I walk out, I see litter and dirt everywhere.
It's filthy.
It's filthy.
Filthy.
You go to throw out something, it's like playing a game of Jenga. And the first person I engage with is usually someone that's yelling at me, yelling at themselves, or yelling at someone else. They're not well, they need help. Then you're walking in, there's all this unnecessary construction that's going on where no one's working. Many rats all over the place.
Yes.
So we entered a new rat race. I was used to the rat race that we called the rat race of
just getting around the city.
Hustling,
the bustle,
hustling, doing
grinding.
work. Now I'm actually kicking rats.
No, we jump all over the sidewalk.
Yeah, especially down here.
And then you get to the train, and I take the train every day, and something not uncomfortable happening is like winning a lottery ticket.
Absolutely.
It is. It's not.
I avoid the train, dude. I walk, bike.
I try to walk. I take scooters, but I have to. It trains faster, and it's something. There's always something uncomfortable. It's just something is always happening. You know what I mean? It's just. I don't wear my watch anymore. Like feel unsafe. Like I said. Like I don't wear my watch more too because I don't know if I'm with my wife or I'm with someone else. Like. I'm not getting robbed. I'm being honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm doing so. I'm not putting someone else because of my stubbornness in danger.
Right.
So I don't feel like New York is safe. I think things really have to be done about it. It's not the police's fault. It's not. It's just,
Yeah. Where do you think where do you start?
Where I look at it like that's why I'll go back to even small business. Why I hate it. It's like, listen, a lot of people are struggling. And, the rich are getting richer, and none of us are here are rich. We're all middle class people, and with poor, and it's like becoming one class, and we're all forced to be accountable for our actions. People don't want to be accountable for their actions. People don't have to deface and do graffiti all over my small business that we bust our ass.
Has any of the way that the city is affected your businesses in terms of your staff feeling safe at work or coming to it? Because you have nightclubs and
everyone
leaving work.
People get nervous riding the trains. I've had countless employees get attacked on the trains. I had one of my chefs get beaten up, pretty bad. He was out of work for a couple. He had to go to the hospital. Like things happen, and it's scary. There's people that really need help. Like we see the homeless people on the street. We see people and like, where is this money? Like they came out with De Blasio. They came out with Thrive, and where did that money go? Why these people not? I
never
even
heard of that.
They're not being helped.
Yeah, no.
And they're not being helped right now. They're not being helped, and it's like we're not taking care of our own.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's I don't play the blame game. All I know is that I respect others and them, and it's like no one knows our own personal life, what we go through, and health wise and work wise and everything. We all go through different struggles, and we have to be accountable for it. Like. If I don't do the right thing and, I don't market the right way, I don't do the ring, I don't hire the right people, I'm accountable. I could, I won't have food to put on my daughter's plate, on my wife and everything. So it's like we all have to be accountable.
Yeah.
And, there's, we can't just think like, there's a magic, money appears. There's magic money trees. It doesn't happen.
You have so many places in New York. Where are some of your favorite places to go that you are not involved in? Restaurants, nightclubs, lounges.
Great question.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit. So I'm very routine. Even when I wake up, like I don't know if you see, I always wear rock T-shirts. I'm a big, band guy where literally I wake up. It takes me less than 5 seconds to pick what I'm wearing. I have about 3,000-4,000 T-shirts.
That's insane.
No, that's
I pull
crazy.
one out.
And how do you have them stacked or?
Yeah, they hang
stacked all over, and I'm like, I'll just grab it. It takes me seconds. I have about 10 to 15 different pairs of jeans. I throw them on the T-shirt. The only thing I might put thought on, I'll look at the weather and decide if I have to wear a jacket or not. If it's no jacket weather, I'm just rocking the t-shirt, things like that. Otherwise, I'm taking, you know, an extra couple minutes to figure out what jacket I'm wearing. But
Are you a sneaker or a shoe guy?
I'm a sneaker guy, and even that, like I used to be Mr. Stylish with it. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've been rocking these Hoka things for the last few years.
How do you like those?
I love them. I'm going to tell you why I love them.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do. I don't care if they're ugly. I walk all over, like I said, all over New York. I get bad feet problems. I get different things. These things are like walking.
What do you get, calluses?
I get calluses.
Yeah, that's what I
get.
get.
I have bad health issues too. I've beaten, you know, I've had two cancers. I've dealt with Crohn's. I've dealt with a lot of problems. So it's like, in terms of like, I just want to be comfortable. So wearing comfortable sneakers, my feet don't get inflamed.
Right.
I love it. You know, it's.
You ever try OCs?
Yeah, they're comfortable.
These wear out like crazy though.
Yeah?
They wear out fast,
Yeah.
I suggest
he's thinking of switching to try those.
These things are like clouds. When I switched to wear,
that's what this is called, on the cloud.
Yeah, with the I switched to I had to wear a shoe like last week. It was like wearing cement. These things, I'm telling you, man. I Hoka, if you're looking for a sponsor, you know, influencer, I would definitely rock you. I do for free. I wear it for the thing because your sneakers are so comfortable. I don't care if they're ugly.
I mean, you did kind of convince me a little bit to try.
Yeah, I think I may try them because these wear out like crazy.
But in terms of like, you know, regular spots, I'm a, you know, random dude. Like, I like random Thai places. I don't really have like go-to spots.
Okay.
Oh, so you prefer Thai over like a pasta?
You know what's weird? As much as I'm like, I actually, my least favorite food is Italian.
That's crazy. Do you cook it all?
I don't. I used to, you know, a little bit, you know, for myself to make sure, like, you know, health reason wise, you know, to cook. I want to make sure that nobody was killing me.
Right.
But yeah, mix it up. Like, I like, my favorite food is sushi.
Right.
You know, it's Japanese. Like, my favorite actually is, it's probably Mediterranean. I love Japanese. I love Mediterranean, so Mediterranean vibes.
That'll be your
I
next
love
spot.
Indian. I love, you know, I love any Spanish. I love paella. Like, you know.
Will you eat a steak?
Which one?
Will you eat a steak?
Yeah, I love steak too. You
Okay.
know? But I mix it up, you know. I like nothing, but out of all of it, I think Italian's my least favorite.
That's so interesting. It's my favorite.
I love sushi.
If you go more Mediterranean Italian, like, you know, it's something like it's more fish and everything, but you know, heavy pastas like sauce. Like, I try not to even eat too much tomato sauce. It's the acidic. It bothers my stomach. It bothers my skin. Even, you know. Interesting.
What's your favorite place of your own?
Ooh, good question. Anything could be a nightclub, restaurant,
anything.
Yeah, it's definitely sushi's my favorite. So I gotta go with sushi. Right now, out of all our venues, Trust Bay is my favorite, and it's crazy. I'm a partner owner, and sometimes I gotta wait like 2 months to get in.
Yeah.
Chef Frances, I gotta give it to her. She's an incredible, you know, culinary genius. She does. It's Filipino inspired with Japanese with Filipino inspiration, and it's a food journey. I love it. It's probably my favorite.
Where's Trust Bay?
It's 1204 Broadway. Then after that, it's, you know, with Sushi Bay, but with Sushi Switch, it's just incredible. Like, it's an incredible experience. Like, it's only like restaurant in an actual hotel suite.
That was crazy when we went. That's
you know what I mean?
cool.
You go into an elevator. We give you
The
check-in at the front
key,
desk.
yeah.
You get a key.
It's just an experience that you're never gonna get. And that's why I love it, because I love experiences. You know?
Yeah. What was your most challenging place to open up?
Was definitely Nebula. Just because it was still the heart of COVID, and you know, opening up a big nightclub in the middle of you know, Midtown, you know, Bryant Park, Times Square area.
Yeah, that's wild.
It was, you know, and then right.
How big is it? How big is it?
10,000 square feet.
Wow.
We started getting, you know, we were kicking ass. And then Omicron, we had a lot of challenges. Then you had to deal with Vax cards. You had to deal with, you know, Omicron again. It was just, we just got hit with everything. You got hit with COVID. then Omicron, then Vax cards, then, you know what I mean? People went, like, you didn't know if you were going to be open, closed, and
Yeah, that shit's crazy.
you didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole COVID experience, because the big reason of doing hospitality, you know, bars, nightclubs, restaurants, is that, you know, they could survive through anything. Even economic downturns, people still want to drink. They still have
That's
to
what
eat.
I said to you. I would say, I'm
eat.
like, they
And
still want to eat.
COVID just changed that whole spectrum of it. Like, it just, you weren't ready for it. Like, I'm still like COVID PTSD. I'll be honest with you. Like, you know, I keep creating because it just, I never know when they're just going to take away my
Everything.
you know, my
Small businesses.
Yeah.
you know, but take away my creative pad. You know what I mean? My canvas. Like, it just be like, hey, you can't open things, because I never saw that coming. Like I said, like, you know, it always survived everything for the dawn of time. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
people was drinking, that got taken away, and you know, I was never, you know, I gave up politics a long time ago. Actually, when I was in college, I was going to get my MPA, so my Master's in Public Administrator. While I was doing nightclubs, I was really into politics, and I actually got turned off by politics because of both parties. This was not Republican, Democrat. It was neither side. It just showed you the corruption of politics. Where during the Clinton administration, I was going to college and I was getting my MPA. Both parties voted down the Glass-Steagall Act. I don't know if you know the Glass-Steagall Act. So it stopped investment companies and banks from merging and forming monopolies. So that's why you see J.P. Morgan, Chase, you know, when they voted that down, it showed, you know, big corporate banks and everything, they controlled the politicians then. And that made me hate politics. And I never voted ever again until the last couple of years. Like, because, you know, I realized how corrupt politics were, and I just wanted to create with my, just keep creating it. I went into denial. And then when things were taken away from me, it's just like, wow, this is, you know, I don't know when this is going to happen again, you know?
Yeah, I think everyone's kind of like
Especially
peeking
in a
over their
small
shoulder.
business,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that conversation time to time. I'm like, what if they just, especially when it gets cold,
Yeah.
like the wind, I'm like, are they gonna,
Yeah.
like we look at each other, I'm like, are they gonna close everything down again? Are they gonna require like 3 people in a store and that's it? Like, the PTSD is real.
It is. You got to realize everything. Like, PTSD, how hurt with a lot of things. You look at it like, no one wants to even talk about it. We'll go way back. We'll go 9/11. Before 9/11, Manhattan thrived. You didn't hear, like, you know, Williamsburg, you know, Long Island City, even Hoboken, Jersey City. These were not very safe places. And no one realized, like, when 9/11 hit, you know, I don't know if you guys were in New York at the time.
Yeah.
You were. And, you know, you had...
You could smell the rubber burning.
But they had warning signs, so you had that fear. It would be red. They had color code. So red was,
orange.
you know, red alert,
That's it,
orange,
yeah.
yellow, and different degrees. So people were scared to come to Manhattan. So what do? They cultivated their own. They started doing
those
neighborhoods. That's how
yeah.
Williamsburg got built up afterwards. You had, you know, Bushwick, Hoboken, you know, Long Island City, Astoria. Like, people started building in other communities because they were scared to come to Manhattan, and they didn't need to. That's why you have clubs in Brooklyn now. You have all these different nightclubs, restaurants, and everything.
Hotels.
Like,
and,
when has it ever been where you have a suburb that's bigger than their city now? Like, Brooklyn is
huge.
there, and it's you know, 9/11 had a lot to do with it. Like, you know, people don't really want to
It's interesting.
from
about
history
that,
and
yeah.
think like that, but it did.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, people are in fear all the time. Like, see all the fear. So it's like, you know, I don't like seeing fear control things, you know?
Are you involved in do you like any sports? Do you like any New York teams right now? Because
I'm a diehard sports fan.
Okay.
I'm such a sports fan that even in, like, football, I don't bet on sports. I don't play fantasy football. I have a thing about me in general. Even how I create, like I said, it's adult playing. Like, I put the projects and others before myself. It's all about like, I'm like the captain that will go down with the ship. I do not put myself before anything else. So I can't play fantasy football or do things like that because I can't put a wide receiver on another team against my team. So I'm a diehard Giant,
Sorry about that.
Knicks, diehard Knicks.
I'm a Giant fan too.
Knicks, Jordan, the greatest player of all time. The guy ruined my childhood. Like,
Totally.
Oh, he would say that all the time. He's like, I love Jordan, but I hate Jordan. I'm like, why?
He's the greatest sports athlete of all time, greatest basketball player of all time. I don't care what anyone says.
People are gonna be like,
I don't care what they say. The guy ruined my childhood. He took championships away from my New York Knicks.
Yeah.
But the guy's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
And so, diehard Knick fan, diehard Giant fan, diehard Yankee fan. Right now, I'm not watching the Yankees anymore because I do not like Brian Trashman, as I call him, as a GM.
get out. Really?
Yeah, that's a whole other story. That's a whole other podcast.
Okay.
I don't follow hockey like I used to.
I love hockey.
Dude, hockey's the
Hockey,
best.
I'll be
My
honest with you.
favorite.
Hockey is the best sport to watch live.
1,000%.
100%.
But I do not follow hockey like I used to. But I actually was an Islander fan growing up.
Ooh. Ooh.
I was
That
a big
hurts.
Mike Bossy. I was a big
Oh
Islander
yeah,
fan.
Trottier, Boss.
Yeah, it was a big Islander
Gillies.
fan. And then I stopped watching hockey and, baseball I follow here and there, but I don't watch like I used to because the last few years with Brian Cashman, I just can't handle it anymore.
So football, basketball, but
Basketball first, football second, yeah.
You've been on the floor a few times with the Garden.
Yeah, diehard Knick fan.
Yeah.
Damn.
But I'll be honest with you, I like watching at home more.
Really?
It just, I'm such a diehard basketball enthusiast that, like I said, people are doing things more now. Everything became such a business. Everything became such a business now, from politics to medical field to even sports, where it's all about selling tickets, and people aren't going because of the game. They're going for the kiss cam. They're going for the T-shirt throw. Like, I actually hate going to games and like people can't even name 3 players on the team, and I get so involved in it.
Yeah, you're an
I
XO
know,
guy.
I can't have someone sit next to me and telling me,
or asking questions.
No, they're not even asking questions. They don't know the sport.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against it. That's great. They want to be there for the T-shirt throw, and they're there for the corporate seats because most of the seats get bought by big corporate companies now.
Yeah.
Like there's more Centurion members and
Centurion,
companies.
yeah.
The most Black Card members are at Madison Square Garden, and it's corporate sport now. So it's a business, and like not around Knicks or probably it's one of the richest franchises.
Yeah, totally.
And
The Knicks?
In any sport.
Oh, really?
I think they're valued at like $3 billion now.
Yeah, even more, I think.
More than that now?
And, listen, I know it's a business, but, I will still watch. I watch every Knick game. I don't miss a Knick game. But, I don't kill myself to go there. I don't mind watching at home by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I get to scream at the TV. I can throw it. I can move it. I think I'm superstitious. I move the remote.
Oh, he does that stuff.
Totally.
It's like, this is
like,
what I
that's bad
wore.
luck. That's
Yeah,
bad luck.
like,
You have to wear the same thing you
Oh
wore.
my goodness.
Totally.
And then you wear it, and then they lose.
Yeah.
Shaq, you see him in a talk show. He's got a good person.
Yeah, he's
I've met him a few
incredible.
times. I had him DJ a couple events.
No way.
Get out.
DJ for Oak. We couldn't put him in the DJ booth, so we had to put something in
Because
front.
he's too big?
Tall. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And was he the nicest guy?
He's a total gentleman.
Yeah.
He's fun.
I danced on that stage at 1:00
Yeah.
that night. Oh my goodness. Wow. We're at the part of the show where we ask every guest. We have 2 questions. The first question is, if you were to be able to have dinner with anyone in history, dead or alive, family, famous person, political person, who would it be? And if you were to be able to have the phone contact list of anyone in history, dead or alive, who would it be?
I want his phone contact.
His phone contact list, right?
That's a tough one. I'm so huge into ecosystems. Like, I'm a big ecosystem guy. That's why I love diversity. That's why I'm not, I hate everyone categorizing people. Like, that's what you see, like, even in the nightclubs. Like, I'll do deep house, tech house, I'll do EDM, I'll do hip hop, I just love every genre. So, of all time, it's going to be a weird one for you. Probably guys would never think I would say that. Alexander the Great.
Never thought you would say that.
Wow.
I was, well, I think it's something to do because of my dad too and everything. My dad was a big history buff. Like, we had no money, growing up and everything. So, we never really went on a plane. I never went to Disney World until I was later on in my life, like in my 30s. I took myself, and we used to go to forts though. I went to like Gettysburg. I went to like,
Gettysburg.
I literally would drive around and I would go to all these different forts. Couldn't name half things. And I remember the only project I took serious. I was, you know, I always got good grades in school, but I was never good at school. I used my charm, and you know, I had a lot of people do my homework for me.
I mean,
I knew how to get by and you know, master that. And I took one school project I put a lot of time into, and I actually made like a battlefield and everything. And I did a report on Alexander the Great. I think I was in like 2nd grade or 3rd grade, and then it was just. There's been a couple movies, and none of the movies were good. Oliver Stone did a shitty movie on them, but it's just
a lot of passion
during the
behind
time.
that.
It's just I love strategy, and just the strategy he did, you know, and building empires and like conquer. He was a conqueror, but he was a strategist, and he discovered it. He kept building and building. So. Alexander, great history, and this is another one that's going to throw you out. In terms of more, if you want my adult play and work thing, I love branding and promotions, and this is going to be wacky because I'm going from Alexander the Great, and this is even crazier. Vince McMahon.
He was brilliant.
The guy.
I always said nobody was a more brilliant marketer than Vince McMahon.
The guy
What?
I love
best
that.
promoter, marketer in the history of marketing.
Vince
I agree.
McMahon.
Look at the guy. Literally took something that's totally fake. It's all scripted. He took acting.
Right.
Literally, look what he did. He built The Rock, the highest paid actor. He literally built people's careers, and
Hulk Hogan.
it's all staged. He built like the guy he built pay-per-view. He built everything. And he constructed. It was all scripted. It was his mastermind. Guy's the greatest promoter. He built a brand. WWE is a brand.
Yeah.
The guy is a brand builder, market. He did everything. So, in terms of creating wise,
I love that.
Whose phone contact list would you want
Of all time.
of all time?
And you know what I'm going to go with? Steve Jobs.
That's
a
good.
good one.
Great
That's
inventor.
a good one. Yeah. Your passion for what you do is so. You can feel it, like when you're speaking. I was just
no, and you love what you
To be
do.
honest with it, the one thing I really love about Instagram and everything is that I get to go on Instagram and I get to look at people's lives I imprinted. So if I did a 50th birthday, a 25th anniversary, 21st-year-old birthday, and everything, and they posted at one of my venues and everything, and that imprint is the main reason why I love doing it. It's like it gives me purpose. My enjoyment is watching others.
So you could watch me sip this.
well. We have a gift for you.
Thank you so much. I love. I'm actually wearing some of the.
Yes,
Nice.
I saw. I know.
Me and my wife and I are big fans of you.
Yeah.
I share everything with my wife, so my wife is usually.
Well, we can wrap it back up.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
She won't see this yet.
She won't see that. No, she won't. She won't
She
see.
called me a liar after.
Yeah. You might get in
Smoky
trouble.
quartz.
Smoky quartz. That's stunning. Yeah, you might have to put just. You can take it off.
Is it fit or is it tight?
I want
No,
to
it looks
perfect.
good.
This thing of where she do it. Should it be the first one? Should it be in the middle?
I feel like I want it in the behind this one.
I was going
Honest.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel it. Yeah.
I actually had another one that
That's
didn't
nice.
get from you guys. That was actually Stonehenge. Me and my wife did a hand fasting ceremony in the middle of Stonehenge. The energy was wow. And we got a bracelet with actual.
Oh yeah, I saw on
that on your
Instagram.
Instagram,
Yeah, I
yeah.
saw that on Instagram. Looked incredible. Thank you so much.
They hard enough, they stay strong. Stonehenge didn't survive.
That was good.
Thank you so much for being
That was
with
a
us
pleasure,
today.
man. Thanks.